Hey, welcome to the July 2025 Homestead Huddle. I just want to invite you to sit down, get a glass of coffee, some tea, some old grapes, however it is that you want to do it. I know some of you are gathering your farm family around you or your staff, and we're going to sit down and talk about all things farming and homesteading, things going on around the farm, in the garden, in the food forest, with the animals, all in the month of July. Now, I'm not sure what growing zone you're coming from, but I'll do my best throughout this to divide things up for the colder climate growing zones, USDA zones 3 through 8, and then also the USDA zones 9 through 11 are more subtropical or arid desert climates. So the reason why we do these huddles is it's a way to be able to get a little bit of mentorship as a homesteader. Whether you are a brand new homesteader, you just got a new property, you're wanting to do chickens, like the gateway drug into homesteading, or you've been around for a while. You've been around 15 or 20 years, and maybe you want to shift and do things more regeneratively. Hopefully there will be some good gold nuggets in this for you to be able to take note of. The other benefits of this is that it really is a real-time question and answer for my Patreon community to help them kind of in their homesteading journey as well. So hopefully this will help you and your farm family and your farm staff get on the same page for the month and have a little bit of fun along the way. So before we get started with the Q&A of the things that homesteaders are asking this month, I want to start off by giving the top 3 things that you should be doing this month in your unique growing zone range. So if you are from USDA zones 3 through 8, you're in a colder climate region, a temperate climate, there's certain things that you want to be focusing on this month to give you the most bang for your buck. Now, if you want the full calendar, you can go to permaculturefx.com. There's a free monthly garden and homestead calendar. You can get the full thing there. But if you're looking at me going, I just need 3 things. Just boil it down to the 3 most important things. These are the 3 most important things. So the first thing that I would be focusing on with USDA zones 3 through 8 is harvesting and deadheading. So it's annual vegetable season for you. Perennials and wildflowers are in full bloom. So on those annual vegetables, harvest. Because if you let them die on the plant, for the most part, like tomatoes or beans especially, if they shrivel up or rot on the plant, that will tell your tomato plant or your beans that it's done, that the season is over. So you want to be harvesting them. Even if you harvest them and give them away, or harvest them and feed them to the chickens, don't let them rot on the vine. Just stay on top of harvesting those annual vegetables. A similar thing is true with the wildflowers, whether they're native or they're hybrids. The more you deadhead them, taking off those spent blooms, the more blooms you're going to get for a longer time during the growing season. So you can really prolong those blooms. Now, the only reason I would leave them on, for example, coreopsis or tick seed or lance leaf. Coreopsis, if it goes to seed, will help spread it around your garden. So if you're wanting to expand that particular plant, then let those seed heads dry on the plant, cut them, and then you can spread those seeds accordingly. But generally speaking, walk out with a small basket every day, deadhead some plants, sip your morning coffee or your tea, and you're gonna be G to G, good to go. So the second thing that I would focus on in those cold temperate climate zones is composting. So whether that means you've got the pile that you are diligently turning every day or a couple days, or it's the pile that you just let sit and do its thing and maybe you use it and maybe you don't. Or my 2 personal favorites, you're doing vermicomposting with worms. I think that is the number 1 way most families need to compost is just get a worm bin. It's a small enough scale. The worms do the work. You get the worm juice. It's just, to me, it's so much easier, cleaner, and better. Or if you're a little bit more of a go-getter, try the 18-day hot composting or Berkeley method. On both of those, the vermicomposting and the Berkeley method, there is a full Patreon class on each of those. So if you're in the Patreon family, make sure that you look up those classes in the collections. The third thing that I would focus on this month is planting annual flowers that you want to enjoy in the fall. So you're thinking of zinnias and cosmos and sunflowers. maybe some celosa, snapdragon seeds. It is time to start thinking about the ones that you want to have, later on in the fall. You can hear the jingling of my dog Vala kind of walking around going, can I sit on your lap, or are you filming right now? So anyway, you're going to want to plant those annual vegetable flowers. So those three things again for USDA zones 3 through 8, harvesting annual vegetables and doing your deadheading, composting, and planting the seeds for annual flowers for your fall blooms. So if you're in USDA zones 9 through 11, the things that we would focus on are going to be a little different than those colder climate zones. Now, again, if you want the full calendar, go to permaculturefx.com, click the month, and the free full calendar is there. But if you're looking at me going, I just need the 3 easiest things, here's your 3. The first thing is use your food forest. Right now is prime food forest season. We're not annual vegetable farming right now, like pretty much at all, so really focus in on utilizing that stuff. So you're drying it, you're storing it, you're tincturing it, you're eating the fruit off the trees, you're using the leaves fresh for teas. Utilize that stuff. If you can't figure it out yourself or you run out of time, invite a friend. Invite a neighbor to come over or have them just stop over when you're gone and let them do it. But this is food forest season. This is the time of abundance. We're not doing annual vegetables right now for the most part. We are focused primarily out in the food forest. The second thing, if you're in those warmer climate or tropical zones, is deworming. We are in the hot months of the year, and especially in Florida, it's not only hot, but it's also wet. It's our rainy season. So when you have that high heat and high moisture, especially, you also have high microbial activity, which also means bacteria. And that could be the good bacteria or that could be the bad bacteria. So this is a really good month to get on that deworming and giving those good probiotics to your cattle, to your livestock, to the rest of the farm animals. So if you didn't get on it in June, make sure that you do it now because it is the peak of the warming season. The third thing that we're doing this month, for those of you that like to garden, very similar to the other colder climate zones, as we're planting those annual flowers. So we have something good for Labor Day weekend. A lot of things will go 60 or 90 days, which means they're going to be flowering right around Labor Day. So if you have friends coming over, plan ahead. Get the garden looking good so there's something blooming, something looking really good when they come into town, and you will thank me for it later. So again, those 3 things, you're using the food forest abundance. You're drying it, you're storing it, you're eating it fresh, you're making teas or having neighbors do it. We're deworming our cattle, our livestock, our poultry, and we are planting those annual flowers, getting ready for fall. So when we look at those items on the list, those are the top ones that I would focus on. Now I want to jump into the questions for the month of what active homesteaders are asking. Hey, what do I do this month in regards to ... And some of these questions have been asked by people that have been farming for 6 months. And some of them are farmers that I know personally that have had farms for over 25 years. And it's okay, it's good to keep learning and to keep growing. We don't know it all. We don't have it all figured out. There's always room to learn and grow. So I'm gonna go through these questions. We have, I think, 10 or 11 questions this month. And so we'll kind of run through those. And I will put those in the description below. So if you do need to fast forward to a question that's the most applicable for you, you're more than welcome to do that. Most of you are probably listening to this as you're going about the garden anyway. So you can just keep on listening. Hopefully you've got your tea or your coffee or old grapes ready to go. So question number 1, is it okay to plant pastures in July if we forgot in the spring? Some of that is going to depend on where you're located. If you're in the Midwest and in the northern climates, probably not. It's going to be too hot, too dry, by and large, for those pasture seeds to germinate. So it's a really big risk. So if you didn't plant them, I would probably just wait it out until early fall. So you're looking at mid-August, really 1st of September to do your fall planting. If you're in the warmer climate zones, you could still technically do like cowpeas, some of the grass seeds you could still potentially do if you time it right with the rains. Looks like it's getting ready to rain here for me too. Clover is going to be really risky. It'll do great in the more dappled shade areas, but it's not even probably going to germinate in the sunnier areas. Chicory probably will do well again with a little bit of shade protection, but it may be more sporadic out in the fields. So July is just not really the ideal window. You're better off probably in both of those zones waiting until doing your fall planting on those. Question number 2. Are there signs for worms if we suspect that we have them in livestock or chickens? Yes. Usually by the time an animal starts to show symptoms, they've had the problem for a while, unless you are really, really looking and really watching. A couple of the things that you want to look for on like cattle or horses, really gum health is you want it to be a nice bright pinkish color. When gums of animals, even dogs and cats are the same way, when it starts to fade and be really white, you know there's something wrong in the blood, oftentimes related to an anemia or an infection. You know, they've got a real severe viral or bacterial infection. If you look at their stool and they have diarrhea, that's a really good indicator that they're probably mid-range. If they've only had diarrhea once or twice, loose stools, you're kind of mid-range. If it is sloppy all over the back end, you've probably not been paying attention. I hate to say you're not doing your job, but you probably missed something. If they get real sloppy and there's flies all over the place, they probably had it for a little while. So it's definitely time to move. If you are actively seeing worms in the fecal matter, again, this has probably been around for a little while. Other things that you can look for on cattle and livestock, lifting up and looking at the white of their eyes, making sure that it's bright, it's vibrant, it's not bloodshot or red. Also noting that the white and the area around the colored part of their eye is very distinct. We don't want a real faded line. That often indicates that their health is really struggling. So, and again, you're always going to be listening for abnormal breathing sounds. Coughing is never a good thing. I don't care if it's a chicken coughing or sneezing or a cow that's coughing or sneezing. That is always a concern to check and to look a little bit further. So those are some of the signs that I would be looking for. So question number 3, can you mix inorganic food, and this is regarding poultry, I think, with organic? Sure. Absolutely. The reason why this person was asking it in particular is they've noticed in their baking, things are fluffier right now when they're fluffier and lighter and more airy when they're mixing inorganic feed. Now, the reason why that is, if you want the really nerdy answer, and I'm going to give it to you. The really nerdy answer is when we use inorganic feed, a couple things happen. One of the primary things is the protein levels in those eggs does generally go down. So with the lower protein, it's going to be less nutrient dense. Now, when the protein is higher, you're going to have a much stronger gluten structure. So it's going to be more dense, more powerful, more, more of like a sourdough texture because there's more protein in it. And so the gluten structure is going to be a lot stronger. The other component to that is those eggs, when you use organic feed, they're much more dense nutriently. You'll notice the egg yolks are going to be a lot more orange, and that extra pigmentation can also cause the glutens to stick together a little bit better. So if you want the organic eggs and you don't want to be doing inorganic feed and you want things light and fluffy, you can add a smidgen of water, just like a little teeny bit of water, or whisk the whites a little bit before you mix it into your baking. And then you'll still have that fluffiness even though you're having the organic eggs. So the other thing that this can impact when you're mixing organic and inorganic feed is if you are, for example, fermenting your own feed. So if you're fermenting feed, you do need to use organic whole ingredient things in your chicken feed. So the pelletized stuff almost always comes with antibacterial and antifungal agents, which those are going to kill the good bacteria in your ferment. The other thing to consider is because inorganic feed has those antibacterial and antifungal things to prevent their feed from molding, that also is going to impact the microbiome of the animals. So when they eat that feed, that does lessen the microbiome and the probiotics in their gut. So if you are using an inorganic feed, you're probably going to need to increase the probiotics that you're feeding those animals to keep that into stasis. Now, it's never going to be as good and as strong as if you're using all organic feed, because remember that those antibacterial and antifungals are doing their job in the feed, but also in the animals. So it's kind of a little bit of a toss-up there. Question number 4, can we plant this month in the food forest? Oh, heck yes. This is a great month to plant. In fact, if you are in the warmer climate zones, avocados, mangoes, strawberry trees, mountain soursop, acerola cherry, Barbados cherry, Patanga tuba, the yellow star cherry, black star cherry, mulberries, just all the things. Like, you can do all the things. The only things I don't like to plant in the heat of summer are like my stone fruit and my cold friendly stuff. So my peaches, my plums, my nectarines, persimmon. I'm going to probably wait until fall or winter to do those. They just seem to do better planting almost going into dormancy. They just have a much better, survival rate. But yeah, you can absolutely be planting. Now in the garden, in the warmer climates, we're not really doing annual vegetables right now. Now, can you? Yeah, you can throw in some Seminole pumpkins or maybe some okra, but the better use of this time is going to be covering the soil, composting, adding grass clippings, leaves, mulching in place, chop and drop. There's just other things that I would focus on than doing that. Question number 5. Oh, sorry, there's a second part of that question 4. Can we also propagate right now? Yes. No matter where you're located right now, great propagating season, especially in the warmer climates because it tends to be a little more humid in the summer. If you're in the cold temperate climates and you're really dry right now, you'll probably need to tent it and leave it in the shade so that way those propagations by cutting stay a little bit more moist. But it's a great time to propagate, do air layering. There is a class on air layering in Patreon as well. Number 5, can we fertilize now if we forgot in June? If you are in the colder climate zones, yes, but limited. I would say focus on compost and magnesium, which is Epsom salts. I would probably only do those right now. We don't want to be fertilizing a lot when at this stage in the fruit set because it can cause the fruit to drop. So it's very, very light. Both climate zones, however, can do foliar sprays. So we're thinking kelp, fish emulsion, molasses, worm tea, probiotics, all the great things for the foliar sprays you can do. In the warmer climate zones, no, you should not be fertilizing at all outside of foliar sprays this month. We do not want to be fertilizing unless it's very light compost, mushroom compost specifically, but no hot compost, no manure, no blood meal, no bone meal, none of that other stuff right now in the warmer climates because the runoff of that causes algae blooms and nobody got time for that. So we're not fertilizing now until September, but foliar sprays are free game for everybody. Okay, number 6. When should we put animals back on a pasture if we are trying to do better at rotating? So cows and ruminants, general rule of thumb, is right before the grass or the plant goes to seed. Typically speaking, with animals with ruminant animals, we don't want seed heads. So in millet or sorghum, you can actually, if you have seed heads, you can get a nitrate toxicity. So we want to be really careful with that specifically. So right before it goes to seed, if you're rotating and you go, I wonder if I should move those cows tomorrow, you should do it yesterday. Almost always, by the time we've noticed, we've let them stay on that grass too long. It's better to rotate your pastures way sooner than you think. If you go, you know what, in probably 4 or 5 days, I'm ready to go ahead and do that. I'm gonna rotate in 4 or 5 days. Do it today. Do it today. Like it's the right time to do it. We want our pastures to be reestablished and revitalized faster versus eating them all the way down. It's just so bad for pasture health, for seed health. It causes the animals to be eating close to the ground where they've been going to the bathroom, which increases your chances of getting bacteria and worms and other infections. So rotate more often than not with the cows and ruminants right before the seed head forms. The other reason for that is once they go to seed, the nutrient value and their ability to absorb those nutrients go way down. So it's just way better to do it before it goes to seed. Now with poultry, you can do it after seed. So I've got an area right now that I put millet, milo, sorghum, amaranth, wheatgrass, ryegrass. I mean, there's just a ton of random seed that I had left. And that's all going to seed right now. And as that starts to dry, I'm putting the chickens on it. And then I'm going to chop and drop it, meaning I'm going to take the rider mower and I'm just going to mow over it. That's like the greatest way, if you don't have animals in an area, to do your chop and drop. It's just run it over a few times with a riding lawnmower and it's a blast. Cycle those nutrients. I don't call it mowing. We're cycling nutrients and listening to audiobooks. So that's kind of the gist on how soon you should put those animals on or move them in pasture. And really, I want to make sure I'm giving pastures a couple months, like 2 months before I put them back on the same pasture if possible. If you're not able to do that, chances are you probably have too many animals on too small of an area, but that's a whole other conversation. Question number 7. How often should we rotate our grazing? How long to rest between pastures? I kind of already answered that a little bit, sorry. I like to do like 8 weeks if possible, 8 weeks if possible. 3 months is great. I want the seed to basically get to the point where it's going, or the grass where it's going to seed again, or almost going to seed, because that's when it's at the peak nutrients. If I get it up there and they rotate at 2 or 3 inches, and then I just go, oh, wait until it's 4 or 5 inches, they're not going to be on there very long again. They're just going to eat the same stuff down over and over again, and you're not going to have any biodiversity in those pastures. So it's good to vary the length of it. Now, if I'm resetting a field, so for example, pasture's not doing very good, I'll drop a round bale of straw or hay in that area. In the worst area actually, because I want them to poop in the areas that have the worst soil. And then I'll let them eat it all the way down, and then I'll reseed immediately after they're done. So that's the only time I want those cows or the horses or the donkeys or goats or sheep or whatever to eat it that far down, is if I'm trying to reset. But as a general maintenance, rotate it way sooner than what you think. There's a great documentary called The Carbon Cowboys if you want a really good watch on that particular topic. Question number 8. Let me get a sip. What order should our animals be rotated through the pastures? That's the first time I've had that question, I think. So typically speaking, we're going big to little, and there's a little bit of reasoning behind that. So cattle and horses, for example, they're going to go through first because their habit of eating is more grazing. So they're doing grasses, they're doing lower forage and fodder, but they're mainly focusing on the grass. Now our goats and our sheep, they love to forage, they love fodder, they love sticks, they love the big thicker grasses, so they're going to go in next. So the cows are going to go in first. Also they have the bigger poop, and I want to hit on the cycle of the larva of flies and that sort of thing too. And then after the cows go in, goats or sheep can go in because they're going to do more of the sticks and the forage and fodder and the lower bushes and shrubs and the bigger grasses. Last, I'm going to do poultry. Now, the reason I would do poultry last, whether it's goats or geese or chicken or whatever, I like them going in last because they scratch. They're removing a lot of the thatch from the dead grass. They're helping reseed because they're going to the bathroom. They're pooping all over that area. And because I use a whole seed feed, they're adding in a lot of that wheat and that rye and that barley. They're putting all those things back in the field. And that's going to be reseeding some of those more bare areas. They're also doing insect control. So they're going to go to those manure piles. Not only are they going to spread the manure for you because they're going to be scratching it, they're going to go through and they're going to eat all the maggots and the larvae and the pupa and all of that stuff. So sending the chickens through last behind your cattle, behind your goats, is going to do the cleanup control. And then the pasture is going to rest. How long? as long as possible, as long as possible. Question number 9. What are a couple rainy day activities that we can be doing in July? Now, that's especially important. I know this person is from Florida, and we get rain pretty much every day during our rainy season. It might rain for 5 minutes or might rain for 5 hours, but pretty much every day this time of year we get rain. So a couple things that I'm doing right now. I'm doing a lot of tincturing and drying. Let me show you my tinctures I'm working on right now real quick. Let's go to the kitchen. So this is my tincture spot. I've got a couple dandelions that are going to be strained here pretty soon. I usually let these sit for 6 to 8 weeks. So this is really good for like liver health, detoxification, getting off water weight. Next up is mullein. Mullein is really good for cold and flu season, clearing mucus out of the body, helping with coughs and the sniffles. Ghost pipe, which is a flower that kind of looks like a mushroom, is a really good relaxant and pain relief for night times. White pine, really good vitamin C, kind of a nice lemony flavor to it, but really good antioxidant power, good for cold and flu season as well. I have lungwort going. Lungwort is really good for lung health, just soothing the lungs, adding the moisture back in. Really good, especially if you have like a dry cough, to help really bring some soothing activity to the lungs. Ginkgo biloba, this is really good for brain health, thinking, clarity, energy, has some good antioxidant properties. And self-heal, this is the Prunella grandiflora, and self-heal is a really good just overall healer, just good to help fight off initial infections. So I'm doing a lot of tincturing, a lot of drying right now in my own kitchen. So some of the other rainy day activities, I would say prepping and getting your fall seed orders ready. If you're in the cold climates, remember in August, you're going to be planting your cold climate stuff. I know that sounds so soon, but it's like in a month, you're going to be ready to plant that cold season stuff. So you're doing daikon radishes, purple top turnips, clovers, chicory, winter wheat. A lot of those things, buckwheat again, are going to go in the fall. So you're ordering those, you're getting those things ready. In the warmer climates, you can kind of still chill a little bit on those things. It's just, we're mainly doing foliar sprays right now. So I'm not ordering a lot of fall seeds. But if you need to restock your foliar sprays, fish emulsion, sea kelp, I really like GS Plants for their fish emulsion kelp. They have a great humic acid. They've got some really good stuff. I love their actually, what is it called? Orchid Love for orchids is the best orchid fertilizer I have ever used in my entire life. And I use it at half strength and my orchids look really good. They look really good. Other things that I would do, I would say learn, watch some YouTube videos, watch classes, just listen to audiobooks, just go through and listen. I'm listening right now to a really good book called Braiding Sweetgrass. I thought was a really good nerdy plant book meets kind of anthropology of the First Nations people here in America is just phenomenal. I'm doing a lot of listening and watching of cooking stuff, like Cooking from the Garden. Jamie Oliver at Home, I just really enjoy that series. I'm doing a lot of teas and tisanes right now on rainy days. So yesterday I did olive leaf, lemongrass, lemon balm, lemon verbena. What else did I do on there? Oh, I was feeling a little bit off. So I did a little bit of Biden's Alba in there. So I'm just trying to relax and utilize that rainy time just as a moment of calm. It's like a word from our sponsors. So question number 10, any fun recommendations for kids and family activities this month? I would say camping, hands down camping. If it's in your backyard and you're in suburbia, what a perfect place to camp where you probably don't have bears. Go in the backyard, let the kids set up a tent, do the camping thing. If they need their technology, fine, but maybe take it back at night so they can just be out in nature, listening to the sounds of the outdoors. If you can do a family camping trip, and if you're not able to do that, at the very least, cook over a campfire in your backyard. So, take some aluminum foil, and we call them hobo dinners, in Michigan, and you do the hamburger patty with some onions and carrots and peppers and potatoes and all that good stuff, a bunch of butter, salt, pepper, moringa salt, wrap it all up and throw it on the fire. 11 to 12 sides or minutes per side is usually where I find it's the best. But I love cooking over the campfire, teaching the family and the kids to go back to nature and just enjoy eating together, do camping together, do food together. And there's no better place to do food than around a campfire. I'm telling you, the thing that I'm going to be doing this week is this new online trend about savory s'mores. Have y'all seen this? It's like you take regular crackers, or fancy crackers, and you do like brie cheese and salami or cured meats or whatever, and you cook the brie over the fire, and you have this melted savory sandwich, or putting preserves on it like jellies and jams. I'm like, I don't know who thought of this, but thank you. Bless you, bless you, bless you. Okay, that's my soapbox. Number 11, this is our last question for today. Do we need to support fruit trees for hurricanes or tornado season? If it's been in the ground more than 6 months, probably not. I usually just let them do their thing. If it's a bad hurricane coming in, okay, I'll probably do a triangle of trees. A triangle of stakes. Do 3 stakes. Never do 2. You are asking for your tree to be snapped off. Do 3 stakes fairly loose. You do not want to do it tight, because if you do it tight, it doesn't have room to flex and bend. You actually want it to move a little bit. You don't want it to fall over. So a little looser than what you think. Probably quite a lot looser than what you think. And then as soon as the hurricane threat is over, take the straps off. Do not leave them during hurricane season. What happens is it prevents the tree from naturally swaying. When the tree naturally sways, the layers inside the bark, the cambium, the phloem, and the xylem, begin to get stretched and move, and it helps harden off the heartwood. So if you don't have that movement from the day-to-day winds like you should, the tree is going to be weak. It's going to be flimsy. So a lot of people are like, oh, I got to keep my tree staked for a long time because it's weak. Nope. The tree is weak because you left it staked for too long. So take that stake off, take the training wheels off, your tree is going to be fine. Now, yes, if you know there's a hurricane coming, okay, put the straps on if it's a new tree. Otherwise, let nature be naturing. So those are the things that the folks have asked for this month on the Patreon crew and family there. So if you have other questions, you are more than welcome to leave those there in the comments below. Hopefully this was helpful to you and your farm family. Maybe you were to add 1 or 2 things to your tool belt, and I would say that's worth it. So thanks so much for taking time to listen. If you do have a second to do the social media thing and like and subscribe or enable the notifications, or if you want to share this or the gardening calendar in your favorite gardening group, that really does help me, primarily because I refuse to use AI. I will not do it. I have never even been on chat GPT, whatever the heck it's called. I just won't do it. So now it hurts the algorithm a little bit. So every little bit of interaction that you have with that social media does help. So as always, thank you so much to our Patreon family and community. You are the ones that provide the support to allow these things and the videos to be able to happen. And I am so grateful for our community there. So as always, everybody, have fun, and I will see you in the garden.